I'm Sendai Mike. I'm a mixing engineer and I work with vocalists. Typically uh, rap, hip hop, a lot, singers, pop, R&B, basically vocal music over electronic production. I record, mix, and master.
Cool. And Sendai Mike, I know you touched on this on your website. Are you originally from Japan, or you just spent some time there?
I was there in college I'm half Japanese, and I was there in college for part of a year in 2010, 2011, which I had to come home early from because of they had a big earthquake tsunami event that I was real close to, and that's when I made my SoundCloud though. It was in Japan during that time, so that's where the handle came from, Sendai Mike.
Did you get into music and then later producing? Was music always a part of your life?
Yeah, my dad's white. He plays like square dance music, like fiddle music and stuff.
Cool.
So I started playing the fiddle when I was about 6 years old, and I also played classical violin. It's the same instrument, but like different sort of teachers and such. I started playing the drums in grade school band in fourth grade, and I picked up the drum set in fifth grade, I think. And then I kind of stopped being interested in violin. I never really fucked with violin. It was just I just did it because my parents made me. But drums was like fun. Drums was fun, but like I never really got good at it. I was a kid. I didn't understand how to get better at things. I just played for fun. Um, I played in high school. I started doing Afro-Cuban percussion, Latin percussion stuff, more like hand drums and some drum set stuff related to that. And in high school, I think I started fooling around with some music software, just making like drum patterns and chopping up samples on. That was probably when I was like 15 or 16. Just very casually, nothing crazy, just to see, just to make, just to experiment. And I didn't really start getting tough into the producing where it became like the everyday lifestyle thing until around 2010, I think, is when I got Native Instruments Machine, the MK1, the first version of that came out. I saw some YouTube content of some guy just going ham on the finger drumming, and I was like, I want to do that. And so I got it, and then I just started making beats every single day. And then did that all through college. I went to college at UW, Civil Environmental Engineering. Did that. It took me 5 years total with my year abroad. And I graduated in 2013. And then I worked in the industry as a civil engineer. But the whole time I was just making beats. And once I was out of college and I was kind of in the scene more, doing shows, going to shows, making beats, getting to know the rappers. It was always kind of my plan to sort of take music more seriously and as sort of like ideally to make some money with it, but the market for production just kind of really has bottomed out in hip hop. And it's not a bad thing. It's just like everyone's getting free beats from YouTube now. Like the production, the access to production has become so easy. Uh, so I didn't really see. I wasn't really making any money. I was making beats all day, every day. I was having a blast. Couldn't conceptualize in my head how to turn that into revenue or make money from it. And I think that now, I have a whole different understanding of that. But at the time, just from working with rappers, I started recording and mixing them. And I understood that for whatever reason, at the level of artists I was working with, artists were more willing to pay for what they perceive as a technical service of mixing and recording than they were for like the creative work of producing. So what it became is the beats become the lead generator, and then it's like, yeah, you can have this beat, and I also mix. So if you want, so that was like how it very started in the very beginning, and then I can just bill hourly for mixing and recording. And I started probably 2015 recording people in my room with $100 mic from Guitar Center, and just an interface and really no technical understanding. of mixing or recording, and I just started charging people $10 an hour, and then I just kept doing that, and I kept working, and then I told my boss I was going to quit maybe like a year and a half later or a year later. Gave her a long runway. I was like, she's like, I'll finish this project that I'm working on, and then I'm out. And during that time, I just try to book myself solid every night after work, do 1 2 hour sessions, 7 to 9. So for about a year, I started recording people, and then I told my boss, I got real depressed for a while. I had to do a lot of sorting out some stuff while I was doing civil engineering, and that sort of pushed me to like, I got to get my shit together and do something else. Otherwise, I will not be a happy camper. I wasn't a happy camper. So it's like, I just, so kind of just the fear of the fear and of the cubicle really pushed me to into this other thing, which I think, a lot of producers want to produce for a living, which is what I wanted. But I was at such a low spot. It's like mixing, like I didn't really have a passion for it initially, but it was like, this is my way out, because that's where I saw the business opportunity. Now I just raised my rates a little bit every year, and then I rented this space, and now I'm just like booked solid. It's crazy.
So without the formal education and like a like a professional setup, what did the setup look like to you early on?
So in the beginning, I was in an apartment in First Hill in Seattle, which is kind of close to, it's like medical workers, it's by a hospital, and like college students. So the noise wasn't really an issue. Like there was a DJ next to me. I wasn't blasting super loud, and it was like, frappers, as long as they weren't like super loud and I wasn't doing it too late, didn't really matter. Completely untreated though. Like I had no idea what I was doing. I just had a microphone on it's just that. And I moved up to, when I moved to a house later, it was like a townhome that shared a wall with another person. This was the final year before entering the studio, and that was a little bit different because those neighbors were definitely not as forgiving. And so like the very first day I set up, and they were like banging on the wall. So I just moved my whole computer and everything to the other side of the room and just made it a personal policy to like not make any noise after 9 p.m. And I never had any problems with them again. And I just said for sessions, I was just like, we guys got to be done by 9. Like I can't make noise after 9, and never had any issues.
Right. So are you is hourly still your thing, how you charge, or do you do sort of
Oh man.
package? Because I was just gonna say that might be a little bit difficult to manage.
No, man,
Just
honestly, it goes, there's engineers that have told me like, oh, you never want to charge project pricing because you're going to get into revision hell with people. And there's other people that say like, you can't make a living working hourly because like you can't charge enough to, but I kind of do a hybrid approach. Like I got different clients with different needs, and some artists that need the project pricing, like for mastering is flat rate, mixing flat rate, but I basically book everything online. For recording, mixing, mastering. Like people come in, we do it on the clock. It's just 50 an hour flat. You can buy 10-hour packages for 400. So it's pretty affordable as far as studios go in the city here, because I'm just running a one-room operation, and some people are, I've done all these different like eventually I'd like to just mix people at project pricing, and give them a proposal and a process and everything. I do that when the artists are generally more serious, and I'm willing to spend the time to really make it good on my end. But most people, what I find is they don't want to spend a lot of money, and I'll mix it until they say it's good enough. And for that, hourly is perfect, because like really young folks can come in, they just need mixes for SoundCloud or whatever. We can bang them out 1 2 an hour, and they love it. They're happy with it. They can't get a mix this quality for that cheap anywhere else, because we just do it Uh, you know, and then other people who want to spend hell of time on a mix, they can do that too. So it's
So for gear, do you have a pretty basic setup? Is there a favorite piece that you must have in your current kit?
I had a buddy who was a rapper who was also an engineer that I had worked with when I was a lot younger. I don't know how he got this booth. I think he took a loan to get it. Him and his girl was moving to Nashville or something. He needed to get rid of it because he couldn't move it. He
It looks
sold it to me
nice.
for like $4,000, which is like
Yeah.
nothing to what it cost new. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like still the most expensive thing that I own. Like, it's honestly people, like, rappers, especially for rappers, they love it. Can't get them out of there. Well, there's generally two types. Some people want to spend as little time as possible inside that thing, and other people you can't get them to come out. They'll go in. I've had guys stand there. They'll come in for a 3 hour session. They'll be hot as hell. They're like, 90 degrees. There's no ventilation, and they'll stand there in the dark with the headphones on, just giving me direction.
Cool.
For the entire session. They love it. Like, I'm pretty minimalist with the gear stuff. In fact, I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of stuff. I mix everything in the box, so it's all software as far as how I'm getting the sounds. Uh, like I got a Slate VMS microphone that I like. Okay, I don't know if I'd like recommend it to people, but for me, it gets the job done. The Apollo Twin, like you don't need me to say it. It's a good preamps are good. It's a good interface. Uh, I think yeah, and then I got other stuff that's more just like I keep my Ableton push here. I like hardly use it, but it's just like a client pleaser. People like the way it looks. It's good to have in the studio. Um,
I was gonna
I
say
re-
there's pieces of hardware that I think are nice prop pieces sometimes,
yeah, yeah, totally,
and
totally.
yeah,
Same. I got the soft tube console one. It's like a um, it's like a little channel strip basically, and it comes with software. It's like right now, it's like I can't even load it in Ableton. Like it just doesn't even open. There's like VST compatibility issues, but it looks good on the desk.
and
When it
with
works,
that,
it's awesome. But
yeah,
I honestly like with the gear, because what I found is when I'm working at the hourly rate, like I can't be troubleshooting hardware or like plugging things in, plugging things out. If there's glitches, I just got to restart Ableton or restart the DAW. Like that's all. Like because people are booking an hour session, and like sometimes like yeah, I've just never used outboard gear. I've never used any. I mean, I used when I was producing. I have an SP404. I used to have more like little synthesizers, I had a little mini brute, and I have an OP1, and all these fun little producer toys. But for the mixing and this, I don't. It's all in the box.
so your slogan, I guess you could say, is recording, mixing, and mastering for the modern rapper and singer. So, is that your immediate sort of community base? And you touched on doing everything in the box. So, if it is your community base, do you kind of know ahead of time? You have an idea in your head what they're coming in for, so that you're not having to plug in and mess around too much.
So what my sort of process with different artists is like if they're coming in for hourly sessions, and they've come in before, I kind of have a template set up for them where I know they like to do these layers and they like those layers processed in these ways. So I basically just pull up one of their old songs, delete everything out of it, save it as, and then they can come in, and that's how we're able to get 90% of the way done as soon as they step out of the booth. When people I don't know come in, I just try to usually like I get cold book like maybe once a few times a month, people I've never heard of, never had any contact before, and those people, then when people do that, it's generally like basic enough that we're we're all on the same page before. So it's literally like the mic is just plugged in. I don't, people come in as as fast as I can rip the MP3 from YouTube and put it into a session. They'll be in there recording, and I just have like a stock sort of mixing vocal chain that I toss on there, and then we go from there. Yeah, but yeah, that's why I keep it all in the software. So there's very little, we're ready to go immediately for anybody.
And you mentioned that your expertise is in contemporary vocal production techniques. Could you explain that a little bit?
Oh, it's like you listen to, if you listen to like Travis Scott, for example, like that is not what a human sounds like. And so that's sort of what I mean by because the mixing for rap vocals right now, it's the sound of contemporary music, like auto tune and big dramatic reverb, like, and big dramatic like effects, and I mix traditional like hip hop as well, but you can kind of go anywhere for just like a clean like rap vocal mix. So that's sort of where like the people that come to me like continually are coming for that sound, that the contemporary sound, like heavily processed, heavily processed vocals.
Cool. Now, like hip hop, R&B, pop, electronic soundscape. So has that always been the case that that's your area of focus, or was it a process to figure that out?
Nah, because I've always, I think the thing is mixing instruments that have been recorded. That's like where all the traditional engineering knowledge comes from, and I've never recorded instruments. So because I've always worked as a producer in the computer, that's what I know how. When people come with stuff that's been recorded, I tell them like I'm not the guy for the job because I'm not going to know what to do with these stems. I'm not going to know how to process them because because coming from a computer producer, like that's just what I know. So that the computer production that has vocals on it, like those are just those genres. So that's kind of why those genres are listed there, without getting overly specific or overly vague. But probably 80% of what I do is like rap, like contemporary rap and hip hop music.
Cool. I think I see sort of two streams with your business. There's the Instagram feed and then your website, and they kind of see them as separate channels. And I feel like right now consumers are expecting value at and for, I guess, on the flip side, we're expected to provide value first.
Oh yeah.
And so that now on Instagram, there's so much information that you're just giving away for free, and it's super helpful. But where do you find a balance, and where do you draw the line where you're keeping the client relationship somewhat exclusive, and where you're not giving away too much of what you do?
Oh, I try to give away as much as I can in terms of, because information is free. Like if I'm not giving away, if it purely on the informational side, like information is free. People can get information wherever they want for free. Like the internet has just made that. So I'm kind of like people. The only times I don't, I would ignore specific requests is when I get DMs that have zero context, that say like, "What's up, bro? DM me back." Like I was kind of like, I used to answer every single one, and actually like go into and write walls of text about technical stuff to individuals. But I just don't have the time to do that anymore. So when people come to me with, if people email me or DM me with specific questions, I just always try to get back to them, because what I've found is that people will ask me stuff and then maybe 6 months later I'll forget about it. They'll ask me something again, and I'll get back to them again, and then 6 months later they're booking a session. So it's the payoff for just helping everybody as much as I can on the front end with purely just information. Uh, it's just a no. There's no reason not to. And as far as the mixing and stuff, I don't. If people want to come in, they have the money has to be in my bank. Like I don't do full. I do full payment up front for any hourly work. So that's sort of how it works. It's like people have access. Like I let people have access to information and correspondence, which I try to scale as much as I can through the video. So I do as much broadcasting as possible with as few individual, to minimize the individual sort of back and forth with people. I've invested a lot in personal coaching and business coaching that like I started doing the videos because I was doing life coaching with a gentleman. Like while I was living in the booth, I took like a huge chunk of my remaining savings and gave it to this life coach. And he was like, bro, you need to make videos. Like this is the key. Like, and I was like, fine. Like, because I didn't want to, like, I didn't want to do all that. I didn't want to go on the camera and be like, hey, what's up guys? Like today we're going to talk about that. Like that's, it's still to this day, it's kind of off-putting, man. I have to like rev myself up to do it. But he, I had to pay that guy to tell me to do that. Mm-hmm. And once I could see the results, I started, that made me kind of like, I'm just talking about, I guess, the general business knowledge that I have accumulated. It's no formal education, but I listen to a lot of podcasts, read a lot of books, like the Seth Godin, all that stuff. And then I've had a lot of professional consulting, not a lot, but an expensive amount. But it's all worth it, it pays for itself. It's like I was living in here paying for coaching rather than living in a house, but it's that set me up, I think, for a long run of people. A lot of people never, so many little studios, or people do part-time, they're never able to do the volume to go full-time. But it's really learning sales and marketing in the kind of internet age that has been able to keep me growing.
For distribution, I notice on Spotify there's it's like 781704 Records DK. There's like Koresma, and then there's Sendai.
Oh yeah, those guys. Koresma and Feuerkin are they're the big homies. I met them on SoundCloud probably 2012ish. And it's really been interesting to like grow into careers alongside of them, because they moved out. They're from like North Carolina and Georgia. When I met them, they had gone to music business school together. And I met them on SoundCloud. It was just like, send a DM like, hey bro, I like your beats. Like we should stay in touch, So we just kept like, listening to each other's music. Ryan Koresma, he actually was in Seattle in probably like 2013 or 14, and he was like, hey man, I'm gonna be in Seattle, let's grab a beer. So I met him out there. Then in like a few years later, he and Feuerkin were on a road trip, and I let him crash in my studio apartment for a few nights, and we cooked up some beats, and that was the start of our collaboration there. And those guys now, I mean, they moved, they both live together in LA now, and they're both full-time. They make, they thinking and sync license and streams basically pay all their bills. It's pretty crazy. Like that, the song we did, I think it was like three years back. I flew out to North Carolina for a week, and we made a song together, and that song got synced like on at least 2 like major TV commercials. And so it's like, and for me, I got a few grand from that, but they're just doing that all the time. So it's pretty wild to think that, had I gone a different route, rather than sometimes I think about that. Had I just kept refining my sound as a producer, like I could just be making my own music. And it's totally possible, dude. I just couldn't. I don't have the artistic vision. It's not focused enough to provide a stream of music that is like a consistent enough of a brand. I think is my issue with my own music. You really got to have a consistent something, as an artist if you're trying to run up the streams right now.
So you've got 3 singles. Are those collabs? Are they one-off sort of tracks that you made?
Let's see. The Bluff one was a collab. Night Market was a collab, and those are the times I met up with those guys. And then the Lordy Lordy was just like that's like a funny little song that actually has me singing on it and stuff. And that's like that was I made that a few years back, and it was kind of just like an ad for like I just try to go crazy with the vocal mixing, and I got it premiered on the KXP, the local blog here for that, and I just made it kind of like, hey, I have a vocal studio, like come fuck with me.
Sure. Are you working on any albums or anything that you can talk about?
Yeah. I am actually in a group with my buddy. His name is Era. That's his rapper name, and so our group together is called Sendai Era, and he's Filipino. So and he does a lot of. He's very plugged in with Filipino organizers. We have a big. I imagine there's Filipino folks up there too doing similar stuff, but a lot of organizers doing a lot of really cool work. So a lot of our music is focused around um, social movements and the Filipino American experience and like kind of stories of immigration and migration and that sort of stuff. If you check out, so we're gonna have we haven't dropped in like 2 years, but we're gonna drop a little EP like this week or next week, I think, and then we got a 5 or 6 song EP set for the fall. And the last time we dropped, I think, was like 2018. It's with that stuff, it's like I'm proud of it, but it's always like the next thing is going to be the one that is better, and we've both come a long way since the old stuff. But one interesting thing, man, that you might be interested in as a video producer is we did last year. We started doing this run of content where every single week and this is all you can see this all on our Instagram page. Every single week we met up with somebody. We would shoot this little slice of life lifestyle video. We'd come back to the studio. We'd make a song, like inspired by whatever they were telling us, whatever's going on in their life. We'd edit the video to the song, and then we'd release it as like a 1 minute like music video type piece. And we did that every week for like 40 something weeks or something. It was crazy. It was a whole day thing every single Friday. But that doing that, we got picked up for like the leg of a West Coast tour with Bamboo. He's like a big Filipino rapper, so we got to play. We went from like basically just like rocking like little bars to like playing like fairly large venues. All off the content is what I like to say.
Cool. And are we can expect this on Spotify or SoundCloud or?
Yeah, it'll come out on Spotify. The new music, but yeah, there's old stuff out on Spotify too, and then all the videos, all those song videos, they're not available on Spotify. They're just on in platform basically. They're just on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. And then we've set up a Patreon, so that was our whole like little shtick with that. Is like if you want the songs that we were making every week, you can subscribe to the Patreon.
What's the Patreon account?
I think it's just Sendai Era, man. I can't even remember.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, I can't we haven't posted any updates on it. Like the whole pandemic hit, we kind of stopped doing our thing with the videos and stuff. So, but we're about to do a big relaunch, man. Get up and keep it moving.
Okay. Just the very last thing before we go and wrap up is just short term and I guess long term aspirations. You kind of touched on it with Sendai Era, but what's the goal for now? What do you want to draw crowds to?
Oh man, for the studio business, I'm trying to get outside more, hike more, and work less. I've just got a kind of a bit of a workaholism streak in me that I am working on. I work to escape, which is great when you're running your own business, but it's also like I don't want to fucking die doing 14 hours a day in the studio, like that's not the end goal. So that's sort of my goal right now is like now the business is in a place where I can like I'm getting booked very very well and I'm not but I don't want to I want to work. That's my goal is basically work less and make more money basically so that I have time to actually live my life. And the short term, uh, I'm just trying to work with like I guess I want to preface this by saying I love all my clients. I just want to work with, like I'm just trying to elevate the sound though. I'm trying to work with more serious artists, artists that are more established, partially for my own just personal ego, but also mixing is one of these things where like the better the song is, the better the mix can be. Basically, it's like putting a great mix on a bad song like doesn't really have any value or meaning. So my work is enhanced by the quality of the artists that I get the privilege of working with. So that's sort of short term and long term. I'm just always trying to work with higher caliber, not, and again, not to say that any like people that I work with are all like everyone has their own vision and their own. But I guess I'm trying to work with people that have a strong sonic vision, and yeah, just because that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here to do. Thanks so much for chatting, man. I'll talk soon.